I've seen over decades, mashallah, connect with youngsters. I've known him for a couple of decades, I'd say at least. We pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants him tawfiq to present this reminder in a way that we're all able to benefit. We've been using the Islamic Studies program known as Safar series, which he put together. He's the founder of Safar Academy, and he put together amazing work, amazing piece. And today I was even more impressed by the digital platform which they'll be introducing soon. We pray Allah Ta'ala gives his whole team the tawfiq to bring even better results, better means of communication with our younger generation, much needed in the challenging times of today. And as you know, today's topic is about youth and challenges. And this is something you can't really cover in an hour. There's just so many challenges, that are faced by youth today. We had challenges in our still young, but challenges our very young brothers and sisters are facing today are even greater. So we need these reminders more frequently so that we develop ammunition, we develop spiritual ammunition to be able to tackle these, inshallah. So without any further ado, I'm going to be asking Shaykh Hasan to come and in his usual informal way engage with yourself, inshallah, and provide us with nasiha.
Can I just quickly ask before we start that we fill in the gaps, and those of you on that side, you can come over. There's plenty of space over here. I can actually see you. I don't have to move my head all the way down to that side. So those of you on that side, you can come over here. Those of you who come over here, there's gaps here, just fill them up. And this whole camera thing is probably blocking your view, so you can move to the sides, that's fine. Just come fill in the gaps, fill in the gaps. Kids, I want you to come over here. Look, kids at the back, come over here, come on. You guys, kids at the back, come over here. Bring them here. Because if they want to sit there, they're going to talk. Look, the angels when you want to sit on you. Listen, don't hide there. Come at the front. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون صدق الله العظيم. My dear respected brothers and sisters, well listening, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're here to listen about and talk about the youth and their challenges. Now, youth have got, of this generation, of today's time, they've got a lot of challenges which are different from the challenges that we would have faced a generation ago. And yes, times are moving on. And Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu said, bring your children up for a time, for an era, for a time that is not your time, that is not your era. And there's a lot of powerful the deep, powerful meaning in this. Listen to it again. Bring your children up for a time that is not your time. What does that mean? That means the way you grew up, the things that you learned, the environment that you found your nurturing in, the people that you had around you, the technology, whatever might have been at your time, or no technology, the village you might have grown up in, the time that was there yesterday. We're talking about 40 years ago, 30 years ago. Today's time is completely different. So first is, the parents have to understand that I'm bringing my children up in an age, in an environment that I never grew up in. That's their first challenge. The second is that you're going to have to prepare these children for the future generation. 30 years later, times are going to change again. And things are gonna, develop into a way that you never saw before. So that's our challenge. That's our challenge as parents, as elders of the community. And saying that, I have to make you aware that your children will come with challenges that you're not prepared for. Please take this on board. Your children will come with challenges that you're not prepared for. Things that you never used to think, I never used to think like that when I was young. I never used to be like that. How come my child is challenging me like this? Where's this coming from? And the usual thing to do is that, husband goes to the wife, it's your child. Your child did this. Wife goes to the husband, your child did this. When it's all good stuff, my child did this, mashallah. My child got the A star in the exam. When it's some naughty stuff, your child's the one that's always been naughty. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. It's your children, okay? Both of you have your genes in that child. Not only that, it's not just purely your genes. That child is growing up and learning independently from many different factors. Number one is you and your wife. That's fine. Number two is the siblings already who exist in the family. They're learning from them. Have you noticed when you've got your first child, the first child can't get away with as much as the third child? Yes or no, guys? Come on. Why? Because they already know, all right, brothers, this, sisters, all right, they do like this, oh, this is how you do it, and by that time you're too busy anyway. You've got 3 children, you can't even juggle them in one go. All right, you've got, first, when you have 1 kid, it's so easy. When you've got 2, okay, it's a bit of a handful. You've got 3, subhanallah, la ilaha illallah. When you've got 4, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. It gets more and more challenging for you to manage them. Now, we understand that. Now, your children are also learning from the school and schools. Your children are getting information from the internet. Your children are getting information from social media. Your children are being influenced by the next child in the neighborhood. Your children, when you send them out to play football in the local arena or park, they're meeting up with others who, again, the kind of chat, the kind of things that they listen to is shaping their minds. Your children are now watching programs and films that have been, developed in a way that we never saw, we never had in those days. So again, the mind is developing over time. Your children get to the age of, let's say, 12 or 13, the hormones are now kicking in. And they're going to go through another situation, they're going to go through another big challenge. Now, let me take you briefly through those parts. The first thing is the period of them being, I think it's 0 to 4. 0 to 4. These are psychological studies of children and the development of their brain. If you actually look at it, you'll see how they move along in these ages. Between I think there's one between 0 to 1. 0 to 1, they're basically getting the coordinations right. The child is actually learning so fast. You don't even understand. They're saying to you, you know what that is? That's actual language. They've done serious studies on the actual language. They've heard you say something like, oh, my cute little child, oh, do this. And he's trying to say, my cute little dad, how are you doing? But he can't say that. He can't get his tongue in the right place. His coordinations are not there. Even when they put their hands, they can't sort of grab you. They're trying to grab you at the beginning. Soon they learn how to grab you, grab your clothes, grab your skin, and try to learn. Okay, that's because they're learning about light. They're learning about volume. They're learning about space. They're learning about emotions. The human is an incredible and amazing creation of Allah. But they're learning at a super speed. They say in the first 5 years, what the child learns, you don't learn for the rest of your 55 years. It's an actual fact. The amount, the speed the brain moves at, the emotions and the body develops in the first 5 years, and how much they store in there. Subhanallah, a child can pick up up to 9 languages in the first 5 years of their life, as long as every adult who's speaking to them speaks in that one language. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. In those first 1 or 2 years, they're getting the coordinations right. In the next couple of years, what they're doing is they're learning that they call, these are the early sort of years of the child. All they're doing is they're mimicking, they're copying. Their brains haven't registered why. So, I know a lot of Muslim parents, they get really happy, mashallah, when I stood up for salah, my kid put a topi on his head, and my kid stood next to me, looking at Papa. When I went to ruku, he went to ruku. When I sajda, he went sajda, sometimes on my back, mashallah, my kid's praying with me. He got a little jainamas out, he's praying right next to me again, really all excited. You're fooling yourself. The kid is only mimicking you. They will mimic you in anything. Anything. You start swearing, your kid will start swearing. There are children out there in, many families who might swear. The kid swears. Effing word, F word, every other time they swear. Why? Because they're mimicking. That's what they don't know what they're doing. They want to please you. Their thing is just want to please you. Don't get excited when your child prays when they're at 6 years old, 5 years old, 7 years old, and mashallah, my kid is even if they learn Fatiha, they learn, parents get so excited. Oh, did you hear he saying the kalima? Yes, I know, you should be happy. But you know what? They're at the age of just copying. They're only copying you. They're copying whatever you put inside them. They're like a parrot. They'll just say, why? Because Allah put into their hearts that they want to please their parents. And that lasts usually up to about the age of 7. After 7, another development happens in children. 7 to about 11. 7 to about 11. This age is like, okay, they've learned all that other stuff, they've mimicked, they've copied, they've done all the code and everything right, okay? Now what they're doing is now they are learning whatever you will teach them. They put meaning to it. It's going in there, but it still hasn't formed the core part of their system where they say, you know what, I've got a daleel, I understand the daleel of this, I understand the evidence of this, and that's why I follow this. They don't understand anything like that. They just understand what you tell them. So for example, you can go across Islamic beliefs, you can tell them Islamic things, this is how we pray, this I want you to pray, I want you to do this. They will do it as long as you're doing it, as long as you give it the right tarbiyah, fine, but they don't understand the evidence for it, and they're not looking for the evidence. You don't find a little 6-year-old, 7-year-old saying to you, Dad, where's the hadith for that, Dad? Give me the hadith for that. If you don't give me the Bukhari hadith for that, Dad, I ain't doing it, Dad. You're not going to get a kid asking you for the dalil for whatever they do. They'll just do it because they want it. They want to now do it. They understand it's for themselves, but they don't understand the reason why. And they're not looking for the evidence. When they get to the age of 11 and 12, another transformation happens inside them. Now they want evidences for why they're doing what they're doing. It's a natural process of the human being, right? And the human being, as it's developing, it wants to reason with itself. I'm here, I'm doing this, why am I doing it? What's it getting me? What's the benefit? Where is it all going? Right? These questions come in the head. Now, it's a very crucial thing. I want to ask most of you, and I know this is being streamed, why is it that our maktab systems in masjids across the Western world, in UK as well as many other countries, why are we in the formative years of the child, from age of 4 or 5 till the age of 11, 12, we've got them engaged in our maktab system. They're coming, they're engaging, they're learning deen, they're saying, Amantu billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi, they're saying all of that, the kalimas, the du'as, the this and that, we're all excited and good. By the time they get to the age of 12, as soon as their brain says, where's all the evidence for this? I want to know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm growing right now. I'm being a human, different. I'm evolving. I'm different from what I was before. Why is it at that age that we actually stop them from coming to Makkah? Why do we make the Quran khatam and tell them to go home? Why? This is the age when you really needed them. We need them before that, yes, don't get me wrong, we need them before that. But this is the prime age when you need them. Now, let's get to those things, because these are the challenges. We're not living in the middle of Bangladesh, India, Egypt, or Iraq, or Somalia, okay? Actually, it's very easy to sort out those kids in Bangladesh, or Somalia, or Pakistan, or actually, it's very easy. Puttara, aise karte puttara. और सवाल करता है तू बेअदब You just say, son, what are you doing? You're questioning, whatever, we don't do that. How dare you? Blah, blah. In Bengali, you say a few words to them. And you know what? I've been in Bangladesh. I've been there in my life. I was born here in the UK, but I spent 2 whole years in Bangladesh and many other trips in Bangladesh. Several trips in Bangladesh. But 2 entire years I spent. And I learned what the system over there. And one of the things over there, and I'm not just talking about Bangladesh, this is Pakistan, this is India, this is Egypt, this is Middle Eastern countries. These are the Muslim countries. You know what they do over there in the eastern side? You just do, you follow, you question very less. That's how the system has been made. It's done like, look, this is how we do it. You just say, this is how we do it. This is always, your father's done it. Always, we've always done it for generations. This is it. The Prophet said it. It's true. It's fine. Done. Do it. Follow. Do as you see. Very little questioning. There's a very small level of tolerance of you asking hard and difficult questions about religion, about why we do the things we do. And the system works. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with this. You go and live in those countries. When you grow up, you say, yeah, we're Muslims. Yeah, you just do it. And unless you get some outside influence coming to you and, making you think, you just do as everybody did it. And that's how religion is. There's no further questions asked. When I went to Bangladesh for my 1-year study, and I started asking, I'm not asking any other question. I'm asking questions about my own studies of the Hadith book. I've been trained in the UK. I was very, very lucky to have the teachers I had in the UK. My teachers, many of them were Pakistanis, some of them were from Bangladesh, some of them from India. They encouraged us to ask questions in the class over here in the madrasa system. And we used to ask questions. And my teacher, Shaykh Kamal rahimahullah, he said to us, he said, if you boys stop asking me or us the teachers questions, then we will stop studying further and we will stop our preparation for coming to the lesson. We want you to ask the questions. The more questions we ask, the further challenges we gain. Our teachers used to be extra happy. Then one day, I'll go to Bangladesh for my final year study and I just opened my mouth and did I commit a crime, brother? You understand what I'm trying to say? I was in a class of 40 people in Bangladesh. Same Madari system. This is my final year. I asked a question about a hadith. And straight away, the answer that I got from my teacher was like, how dare you ask such a question? Where it's almost like, do you have respect for your teacher? Ooh, brother. Ooh. Where have I landed? I was like, and this is not just Bangladesh, don't get me wrong, these are all these countries. It's like there's very little, there's only few teachers, few ulama in those countries because their system is different. Don't get me wrong, I'm not here to criticize them. Their system runs like that. And if you want to ask, you ask very specifically to certain people who can take it from you, who understand from you. I remember I had one teacher over there in Bangladesh. You know what? I could ask him anything and he would give me a good answer, or he would say, I don't know. And you know what? I loved that teacher in Bangladesh. I used to go to his room and I used to privately learn from him whatever I could. You know why? Because you only find certain people who are that open-minded, who can listen to you, listen to your questions that go beyond the book, they go beyond your culture, and they're still able to give you that answer. Or say to you simply, let me look at it further and I'll come back to you. Now, let's come back to our challenges here in the UK. You're a parent, you've taken your children to the formative years. You are probably not prepared for some of the challenges that your children will come up with. The teachers who are in the madrasa, some of them may not be prepared, but please understand, all youngsters, I'm telling you this. If you've ever come across there's so much little time that I've got today to cover this thing. If you ever come across parents who have shut you up, parents who never allowed you to speak, parents who never allowed you to express what's inside you, if you ever came across teachers who just basically shut you down, they shut your system down, if that ever happened to you, please understand that is not the end of your search for understanding Islam. Don't make a mistake. Just because you went to one teacher, one parent, one uncle, one someone in the community just shut you up and shut you down and said, how dare you ask such a question? And you think, my God, is that what Islam is about? These guys can't even answer my question. And then you shut down and say, look, this thing is not for me. This religion is not for me. You've made a massive mistake, because your search should have been with people who can actually give you an answer. I've had many youngsters come to me. Many people, look, in my travels I've met many people, and I'll tell you some of the things that lead our youth away from Islam. If you're a parent and you're trying to get your child to be on the deen, don't be too eager. If you push it too far, you're going to lose them. And if you don't give them enough Islam, you're going to lose them. Please remember this. You have to have a balance. You have to give them Islamic teaching. You have to bring them to the masjid. You have to send them to a learning center. You have to carry them, dropping them off to the masjid and let them learn. Yes, 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 yes. But don't be too eager. What are we doing by too eager? Don't be overprotective. Don't make life difficult for them. Give them some room for playing. Give them some room to breathe. Give them some social time. Give them a normal life. If they're deprived of all of that in their process of learning hibs, or in their process of learning their whatever it is that you put them, and they feel like, you know what, as a young kid, as a teenager, I've been deprived of what all my teenager friends did. And if they feel that inside, that you gave them hardly anything for them to breathe or for them to have that social life, then you know what, they'll do it, but then they'll leave it all. And I've met people like that on my journeys. Don't be over eager. But at the same time, the opposite is true. If you don't send them to madrasa, if you don't send them to learning places, if you don't give them, and you think, let me make it easy for you. Oh, you don't want to go today? Okay, just sit. Okay, I'll give you your iPad. Just sit down. Are you the parent or your kid's the parent? Are you the parent or your kid is the parent right now? They're demanding how they want to learn. They're telling you, it's too difficult. They're telling you they don't want to go there. You know what? Most of this comes with parents getting it wrong. You haven't got the balance yourself in getting it right. So don't be over eager and don't underperform with this, because either way you're going to lose your children. If you don't give enough Islam, they're going to grow up to become what we call, I'm sorry and forgive me for saying this, coconuts. Brown on the outside and on the inside, there's going to be something totally different. They're not going to want any of this. It's going to be like, okay, yeah, mashallah, Quran, yeah, just put it on the shelf there, just have a bit of, recitation here and there. That's it, that's my Islam. I'll give loads of sadaqah, I'll give some charity, but, I don't put myself towards this kind of religion. You get these people, well, I tell you what, for them to come in a masjid like this, to pray on a carpet like this, even though it's clean, it's still got, so many, little bugs inside that carpet, yeah? So it's a bit dirty. And for them to shift and get close to all those Muslims next to them and breathe in this kind of hall with 500 Muslims, whatever, oh my God, when is it going to be over? I better get out of here. That's one extreme. They don't know the religion, they don't want to be part of Muslim community, they want to have their kind of stuff. And the other extreme is this, that you give them so much of it, that they want to break away from all of this. The moment they get the freedom, they're going to go and find their girlfriend. The moment they get the freedom, they're going to be smoking, they're going to be going and watching stuff, they're going to be out there binge watching whatever they miss. The moment they're going to get the thing, Netflix is going to say, you're the first man who's finished all of Netflix. Netflix is going to say, you need an award, you finished the whole of Netflix, oh my God. What are you up to? What are you vaping? They're going to go out, because that's the two extremes, okay? So let me tell you, in between that, your job is to make sure your children grow up in balances of everything. Give them Islam enough at each stage. Please don't be over. Don't force children too early to start taking all this on. Because look, in the primitive years, they're not ready. But when they get to the age of wanting to know the dalil, or wanting to know the evidence, if with a teenager you give good reason why they're doing things, especially in the Western world, and this is where I'm going to tell you the difference between the Eastern world and the Western world. Your child is not in Bangladesh, your child is not in Somalia. I'll tell you one story. We had this Somalian child, this is going back about maybe 18 years ago. 16 years ago, we had this Somalian child in our madrasa, and the Somalian child was quite naughty, that particular one. Again, in no form or any way I'm being racist, but anyway, that particular one was quite naughty, right? Very challenging. I'll tell you one thing about the Somalian community. They're very intelligent people. Highly intelligent, but that comes with another price. They're highly intelligent, but they're highly challenging as well. Because if you're that intelligent, you're going to challenge. And I found the Somali community to be very highly intelligent. So anyway, he's been a bit naughty. We're trying to sort him out. We can't sort him out. We kept him in the madrasa maktab. One day, he disappeared. He stopped coming to our maktab madrasa. We said, Ya Allah, where's he gone? After 4 months or 6 months, he reappeared, re-emerged as a new individual. He's been sorted out. He's not naughty anymore. What happened to you? He said, you're right. He's like talking with a lot of adab and respect. Yeah, I'm okay, yeah. So what happened to you in 6 months? He said, my dad took me back to Somaliland. Ooh, we said, what happened over there? He said, don't ask me. I said, what happened? He said, over there, Somaliland, with their laws and the tribal laws, they sorted this kid out. Don't ask me what happened. I'll leave it to your imagination to think what happened to this kid. He lost a lot of weight, he got a little bit taller, but the kid was sorted out. Now, you can do this with certain kids in a certain age group. I'll tell you one thing, yeah? With your child growing up in the West, living in the West, growing up in front of you, in a house where you've got every comfort around them, you have to be on the ball to give them Islam. Give them Islam. Teach them. Do the tarbiyah. Don't overdo it. Don't underdo it. Okay? Each stage take them. Now, when they get to that thing about asking questions, let them ask. Let them have an open, good relationship with you. I remember when I was young, you know what? Whatever my challenging questions were, I used to come to my mother. The earliest I remember, I used to come to my mother. Alhamdulillah, my mother is a daughter of an imam. Rahimahullah, may Allah have mercy on her. She's passed away. May Allah have mercy on her. She was the daughter of an imam, and she was daughter of a hafiz of the Quran, and she had read extensively. And when I used to come home, and I had these questions, I used to come from school, you know, there's all these kind of questions, because I'm going to school with Hindu kids, with Christian kids, with atheists, with people from all sorts of backgrounds, right? And I'm coming home with questions. And my mother used to give me good, nice, simple answers, and I used to think, you know, that's an answer I can live with. That's good, that's good. And then my further questions was my great teacher, Mawlana Fadl Rahim from Oldham, who used to teach us in Nottingham. Through him I sorted most of those questions out. And further on, any questions I had senior teachers, other teachers I went through. Now, you have Western children with you. You know, the Western education system is question and question and question and question again. Their system is based on questioning. Question your teachers, question your elders, question everybody, question your own existence. Do you even exist? Question everything. They're crazy, they're going to another level. Your kids are living in the Western education system. Do you understand? From day number one, they make them question. You know, by the time I got to my masters, there's one teacher that said, what are you guys doing in the master's class? I'm thinking, why they saying that? You should be questioning every author you come across. Question the books, the authors, your teachers, the system. Keep questioning. Reject it. Reject and that's what they're telling us. You understand your whole system. You know, this system of the West, if you understand where it comes from 2,000-year-old system. The whole of the Western education comes from a 2,000-year-old system from the Greek heritage or the Greek philosophy. If you go back to Plato, to Aristotle, you go back to Socrates, you go back and see the Greek civilization that became the hub and the basis, the foundation of all Western civilization. They questioned, it was philosophy, their love of, you know, wisdom, and from there they questioned and questioned and questioned. They questioned the teachers, they questioned the system, they questioned everything. They questioned God. Why do you think Christian world had a huge problem with the Roman Empire? Why the Greek civilization and the Christian world clashed and clashed? 340,000 scientists died at the stake or were killed in Europe in the Dark Ages. 340,000 scientists. And who killed them? The Christian religion. Why? Because they were heretics. Why? Because they were questioning everything, questioning God. They tried to contain this little animal. This is the thing that was causing them frustration. The Christian world was in mayhem. They wanted to kill off the Islam. In the end, they couldn't do anything. Then the church broke off. If you know the history of this country, the church broke off from the actual, from the actual system itself. So you had the church on one side, you had the system of government on the side, and then later on it completely, so from King Henry VIII's time, there was a massive bust up, and they changed the whole church, the whole system was changed to a different church system. Then 1800s, the parliament started. So once the parliament came into power, what happened is they put the monarchy separate, which was a people kind of monarchy sort of system, okay, of rulers, and the politics came different. The monarchy system was with the church. The government was without the church. And they then continued from 1800s, okay? This is now, you're talking another 200 years, where now we've got liberal democracy. Forget governance, you've got liberal democracy. Now, with the questioning, they questioned, and then it became, they separated religion from the state. The state that governs and the religion became separate. Then it was like you can do whatever you like. Soon enough, look at the culture we live in. You do what you like. You want to identify yourself as a clock, then become 2 o'clock. Do whatever you like. Seriously, you got people loving buildings. They fall in love with the building. There are people who fall in love with animals. And it's completely, but you want to do it, you do it, you're free, you're independent, whatever. It's a system where, whatever, as long as the state law is not being broken, you can do whatever you want within that means. So religion has become separate. Now you and me are Muslims growing up in such a country and such a system. You have to understand the challenges that you're going to get is complete on another level. And what are you going to do? You're just going to tell the kid, no, you just got to do it. No, give them reason, give them understanding. Most children who walk away from Islam, because I tell you one thing, that we've got a massive problem and a challenge, which is our own children are walking away from our religion. There was a Pew Research study done 2 to 3 years ago in America. They found from their research 23% of American Muslim children identify themselves as atheists and people with no religion. 23%. That's 1 in 4. That's in America. The stats here will be lower, but nonetheless it exists. And the reason why it exists is because, number one, let me tell you this, these are the reasons why our children are leaving Islam. Number one, why are the children leaving Islam? They're leaving Islam because one of the major reasons is they look at their elders, their parents, their uncles and aunts, their teachers, their mosque leaders or the mosque community people or the masjid musallis, someone from their community who identified them as religious appeared to be very non-religious. And that's a massive reason why our children are moving away from Islam. So either the parent, for example, the parent says, don't swear, don't drink, don't smoke, don't do this, right? But the parent tells, the man smokes himself. The father smokes. The father says, it's okay. You don't do it. Don't become like me, all right? Don't become like me. Don't become like me. He wants to stop his child, but he's a person who's actually demonstrating, all of the wrongs that he's telling his children not to do. Father comes home drunk, beats the mother up. Children witness this. Massive reason for them to say, what? Is this the same guy that told us, same dad that told us to be religious, to go to the masjid, to go and pray, to go and, live a life in Islam, and that's my dad who's doing that? Mother doesn't wear hijab, wants the daughter to wear hijab. Do you think that's going to happen? Well, it might happen. Allah's the guy. Allah can do that. But there's going to be a very small percentage of such girls that are going to wear the hijab when their own mother is not wearing it. And you want these children to grow up to become religious people, but they're seeing this. I'll tell you another conflict. Father has a haram business. Father is doing dodgy stuff. And then the children witness and the children grow up with that, and they learn from their madrasa, the maktab, that this is haram. They're living with a dilemma. my dad has got a haram business, had fed me haram, giving me haram, but yet my teachers are telling me Islam says don't go in the haram pathway. It's a massive clash. Mother and father tell them, be religious, follow Islam, do all of this. Then what happens is this, and these are real cases. One of them one day, look, Islam says, we're all Muslims, right? Guys, all Pakistanis, Somalis here, Egyptians, Indians, Bangladeshis, every community, whichever one I haven't mentioned, we're all Muslims here. Yes or no? Let me hear you say it.
Yes, we are.
Let me hear what you say. Brother, say yes or no? Come on.
Yes.
Yes. Right. Then what happens? They grow up with that. The teacher said we're all Muslims. The Islam said we're all Muslims. The parents said, yeah, mashallah, we are 1.8 billion Muslims on the earth. Nare takbir. Allah. Yes, the kids are growing up with this. And one day when the kid grows up and he becomes 22 years old, he's a Bengali kid, okay, Bengali boy, and then he's fallen in love with a Pakistani girl. And she's hijabi, she's praying, everything's fine, religion is all there. He comes home, he says, I want to get married to who? He says, Pakistan. Pakistani biya korte. Pakistani biya korte. Or the other way around. A Pakistani girl wants to get married to Mongolia. Pakistani girl wants the worst one in India. They got beef. Indian, you get married to Indian. Your roti size is going to be smaller than what you eat. Yeah, your cups are going to change. You're going to become different. Have you seen how those people live? And then if it's maybe an Indian wants to marry a Bangladesh or it's like that, right? Or for example, he wants to marry an African Muslim. Africa. Oh my God. You know what happens to a child? The real cases. I'm talking about people who've been through this, who've had kids, who've been boycotted, family boycotted them just because they got married to a Muslimah from the same community, religious, practicing from a different country, and they got boycotted for 10 to 20 years. And you know what's gonna happen to that person? He's gonna say, is that my Islam? Is that what they preached to me? Is that what all the books said? The Quran said? The Imam preached? The Muslims said in my community? The Maktab taught me? My parents even said. And when I get to that state, then they say to me, nah, you can't do it because they're from a different culture. They've got no other reason for turning them away. Massive reasons for children moving there. I'll tell you another one. And it happens, and let's not be shy away from this. Okay? There's sometimes, na'udhu billah, may Allah protect us, sometimes there's abuse. Abuse from a family member. There's a huge reason why somebody would never want to be, if that person identifies them as a Muslim, who goes to even Jum'ah Salah, who goes to Taraweeh, who goes to the Masjid, who identifies them as a Muslim, and they've abused someone in their family, whatever form of abuse that might be, whether it's physical or verbal, but the child was abused when they were young, then that's a massive reason for them to say, I don't want this Islam. Is that what Islam is? I don't want this Islam. Another reason why they leave or they're not engaged in Islam is because you gave them a very, very shallow understanding of Islam. It was too shallow. There's no depth in it at all. You might have had private tuition. I tell you, I'm saying this, and it's being recorded, it's being streamed, and I'm telling all of you here right now. Private tuition and online learning is a secondary thing that you might do. It's not your primary thing. It doesn't replace the real teaching and learning. The real learning is in a class environment, in the masjid, amongst other Muslims. Let them grow, being part of the community of Muslims. Why? Do you realize that your own identity, your identity, my identity, a massive part of it is because I've grown up with so many similar people who think like me, who act like me, who know what I know, who are same as me in their religious beliefs. And I've seen them, I've grown up with them, and that's why I feel comfortable in my identity as a Muslim. If you have private tuition at home, they've only had their siblings learning with them. They've only had that one teacher. They haven't been part of a greater community of Muslims. If you have online learning, they've learned from a screen from a guy who's in Pakistan. who's teaching them Quran, from a guy who's in Egypt, teaching them Quran. They're not really engaged, they're not building their identity with so many other Muslims. You know, your identity of human behavior, it becomes something that develops over time when you live amongst the same people with the same identity, with the same behavior. So if you look at, for example, if you look at the community of plumbers, they'll be a certain way. If you look at the community of lawyers, they'll act a certain way. If you look at the community of, let's say, ulama, people who go to madaris, they're a certain way, they'll act a certain way. If you look at the community of builders, they'll have a certain attitude, certain ethics, certain way of doing things, because they've grown up, they've spent years with the builders, or with plumbers, with engineers, with people who, if you grow up with people who worked in an office for 30 years or 20 years, they all have a certain attitude. If you grow up with people, if you live with people who go to clubs, and who do whatever in the clubs, they have a certain attitude. If you go and meet drug dealers, drug people who sell drugs, they have a certain attitude, because human behavior, it makes other humans act the same way. The more of the humans come together in a unit, they make others act the same way. And you, my friend, as a Muslim, need to understand your greatest Islamic identity is being amongst a lot of Muslims and learning from them and modifying yourself with them, and naturally it's going to happen. So I tell you one big reason why our children want to leave Islam, because they were shallow. They never had that much Islam in the first place. They just learned how to read the Quran. They learned the Quran. There are some Huffaz in America who memorized the entire Quran, but they were never given the message of the Quran. And they even left Islam. They finished the hifz of the entire Quran, cover to cover. They finish entire hifz. They were at a young age, and don't forget, look, at that age, when you're 11, when you're 10, when you're 12, 30, okay, you're still now getting to the time when you're going to question things. They were given Islam, parrot fashion, rote memorization, never understood the reasons behind it. And then what did they do after that? When they got to the age when they understood things, they just said, my heart is not with this. If you don't create the love, if you don't create the connection, if you don't give the message of the Quran, if through your understanding they don't connect with the words of Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if they don't understand what is the wahi, what's the revelation, it's not just putting a certain, pictures on the walls, because that's what most Muslims across the world, they've made the Islam into actually the following things. You walk in the Muslim house, you're going to see قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ قُلْ هُوَ الْفَلَقُ قُلْ هُوَ النَّاسُ and قُلْ يَا الْكَافِرُونَ written, nice calligraphy on the wall. You're going to find Ayatul Kursi on the wall. You're going to find a Quran in the house. You're going to find a Quran on a nice top shelf. It's nice, got a nice decoration around it. Maybe it's covered with something, okay? You're going to find certain artifacts in the house with Allahu or Muhammad written on it, okay? You're going to find in there a jainamaz. You're going to find in there a prayer mat somewhere. You're going to find a tasbih or a pair of beads inside. And you're going to hear from those Muslim parents in the house, you're going to hear MashaAllah, you're going to hear Inshallah, you're going to hear Alhamdulillah, you're going to hear Assalamu alaikum, you're going to hear these kind of few phrases, yeah, Inshallah, MashaAllah, Alhamdulillah, this and that, right? And that's about it. That's the Islam. And those people, they may go to Jummah every week, may do, but they definitely will go Ramadan to the Masjid, or they'll go Eid, 2 Eids to the Masjid, or they'll have, all the MashaAllahs, Inshallahs, and Yalla, all that kind of stuff, yeah? All the way talking about Allah, Inshallah, MashaAllah, but it means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. And unfortunately, a lot of the Arab non-practicing community are like that. I've met so many Arab students of mine who've told me, in our house, this is the level of Islam. When you're home, you always hear Allah, MashaAllah, Inshallah, Alhamdulillah, but you know what? There's no Islam. Or you go to the other extreme, you'll find, Muslim parents inside the house, they will have Islam in one part. Like for example, the woman will pray her salah, MashaAllah, very good. Then she'll wear a sari the whole day by showing part of her awrah. Part of her awrah from the blouse that she wears, from this part of her arm all the way down, from part of her awrah here of her belly. That will be showing all day because she's wearing the sari. Or they will pray, but then after they pray, what will happen is that in the house, there's all sorts of free mixing, or in the house, the same house, with that TV, with that screen, they're watching stuff that is not right. And those things that come across from the screens, they're shaping your mind as well. So anyway, I was saying to you, when it's a shallow Islam, or you haven't given enough Islam, these kids, they haven't even got the deen inside them, and then their whole judgment of Islam is what they saw. They think that is Islam. Oh, Islam is once a year, or twice a year, or a couple of times in the year, you just go to the masjid. Islam is you respect the Quran. Islam is you better believe in the Prophet and you better believe in Allah. But there's nothing else about the words of Allah, words of the Messenger of Allah. There's nothing about them understanding the depth of Islam. That's another extreme. And that's a big reason why some of our Muslim children are leaving Islam. Now let me get back to those questions. These children will have questions about the existence of God. They will have questions about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They will have questions about why Islam is the truth over all other religions. Now, in this short time, I haven't got time to go through all of this. Okay? There are many, many different lectures of mine that are on the internet, right? And there's one particular one, I think, called "We Need Answers from God." If you check that on YouTube, "We Need Answers from God." I've tried to give some of these answers there. But in this session, I'm gonna answer a couple of things for these children to understand the challenges and the parents to understand also in the rest of the time that I've got. So what I'm going to say to you is that your child is 12 or 13. You know what Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu said? He said, from 0 to 7, you've got to become the father to the child. Okay, you've got to become the father to the child. From 7 to 14, you have to become the nurturing father, yes, just like you did from 0 to 7. But at the same time, you have to slightly ease with a little bit of friendship. Little bit, not too much. A little bit of friendship comes in. From 7 to 14. From 14 to 21, Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anh says, now you need to become more of a friend and less of that father to your child. If you can get that right, in the right order. So when they're 0 to 7, you're the father. You do the tarbiyah. As in, you have to make sure that they do things as you want them to do it. Fine. And they're in the mode of copying anyway. This is going to copy you. From 7 to 14, you have to ease off a little. From you're a father, you got all your rules, everything in place, they're doing everything. Yes, don't let go of any of that. But a little bit of friendship, a little bit of openness you bring with them. Let them have the conversation with you. Let them open up with you. Even if they come to you with challenging questions, let them say it. You can always find some scholar, some alim, someone somewhere that will give the answer to that. From 14 onwards, when I say 14, literally it's not the day their birthday 14 comes, okay? It could be plus and minus. So do take that. Some kids grow up different ways. So from around that age, you have to put more friendliness into it and drop. You're still the father. You're still looking over them, but have that thing with them. And amongst all of this, as they're going through, please don't do one massive damage, which is. I've seen this, even on this journey, I saw it and I was like, Ya Allah, what is it? Why are parents doing this? In this journey, on the last journey I saw it, the last week I saw it, the week before I saw it. You're with your child, you're in a gathering like this, you want to keep your child quiet, what do? You pull your phone out, you give your phone to your child, go and play on it. Your child is sitting next to you in the masjid, in a gathering, anywhere, in a hall, whatever, even in a wedding hall. You can't keep your child quiet because the child comes until he gets the phone off you, until you give them the pad. Why on earth are you doing? Why is that? There's one moment, me and my wife, we just decided, stop. In the beginning, we actually gave a little bit of it because they could take my phone and they could just look at something on the phone, some photos, some this, play something. But you know what? There came a stage when I just said, stop. That phone is mine. It's not yours. And you're not going to get the phone. And you know what? The child took it well. And all our children, we brought them up like that. You do not get those devices until it's time to get those devices. You have to have control on the time your children go onto those devices in the house. Strictly give them your rule and they'll stick by it. I remember for years, I'm talking about an entire decade in my house, they couldn't go on any technological device from Monday to Friday. They couldn't do it. Because Monday to Friday we had a system. You go to school, you come back, you do your salah, you do this. Okay, you can go do your homework, come back, you play certain games in there, physical games, that's fine. But you're not getting on technology, finished. Then your bedtime is coming soon at 8, 9 o'clock, go to bed, finished. Done. Sleep, get up, go to... No, they knew it's forbidden in the house. They even said, oh, how come our cousins have it? How come our cousins have... That's another problem you have to deal with. You know what we said? Simple. We said, your cousin's house, they have their rules, we have our rules. Oh, I wish I was there. But you know one thing? You set your rules, you be very clear, and the mom and dad have to be equal in this. You don't have a thing where the mom has her rules and she secretly gives certain thing, whatever, backhander, allow the kids to do whatever, and the dad has his own rules. You don't do that. That's going to mess things up, big time. And that's another reason why children actually get messed up. Be together. Whatever rules you make, you spread it out, you tell them this is it. Even on the weekends, we used to have a window of this many hours, you can be on there, straight after that, off. That's it, switched off, done. Why? In the early ages, the amount of stuff that they're seeing in the games when they play them, they've got so much chemicals that are being released in their heads of dopamine and other things, in small amounts, that they get so hooked on to this. When they come back to the books to study actual textbooks, they look at it and they find it boring. They find classrooms boring. They find books boring. They find the house boring. They find you boring. I'm serious, you know why? You play, look, you get on. What's that game where you collect the coins and you jump on trains? What's it called? What's it called?
Subway Surf.
Subway Surf. You play Subway Surf when you're on there, right? So this character is jumping off, right? From train to train, sometimes on the ground, sometimes up, collecting coins. It gets faster and faster. What's happening? You're locked in. You're on an iPad. You're watching this. The whole graphics are moving. You're moving forward. You're seeing how many coins you get. You're seeing the scores are going up. You're moving. Oh, I just missed that train. Woo-hoo-hoo! Right? Some dopamine is coming to your head. Oh, you're moving. You play for an hour. After you switch it off, you look at your house. Your house is not moving. The house is dead. You know what happens after that? Kids. You know, when they have that much dopamine going, because they're small, this is psychologically, this has been proven. When they're playing those games, even if it's PS4, PS5, you've got an Xbox, they're playing that, okay? These games, let's say it's Fortnite. Because in Fortnite, they're moving, they're in the world, right? You know, in these games, they're actually, what's the other one where you build your own little world? Minecraft, you're building your world, you're living there. Oh yeah, I created this, that block. Yeah, I live here. You're not living anywhere there, my friend. You live in your house. Wake up. So they get so much locked into moving the space, this, that, on the screen. Even in Fortnite, they're moving over hills, they're collecting stuff, they're building a fortress, they're saving themselves, they're flying down, they're shooting, they're aiming, they've got the headset on, they're talking to friends across him, their cousins, their neighbor, whoever it's school friends, right? There's so much going on, there's so much chemicals of dopamine, being burst out into their heads, right? And then when that stops here, and you come to real life, it's like, you know what happens? There is the opposite. This is scientifically proven. There's the opposite effect. As much enjoyment they've got while they're playing, that's how sad they are. That's how low they feel. So if they were normal here and they went up like 50 notches up in excitement, soon as they switch off those devices, they go 50 notches down. You'll see your kids, as soon as you stop the games, they'll be like, the boys get into fighting straight away. Play fight straight away. Hey, I'm jumping up and down. Why do kids do that? Because they've gone 50 notches down. They want to move, they want to do things, they want to have that dopamine, they can't find it, they're like really craving for it. For another couple of hours, you're dealing with that. You want to get them study? Forget it, mate. The book looks so ugly. I have to sit here, use my brain to work out the maths. I have to learn these words, the spelling of the words. My God, I could have been on Subway Surf collecting another 1,200 coins. I could have got to the level of this by, the stats and whatever they make, right? This is the world. Now, you've got to be careful because this world will take them over. And there's another whole, I really need to say this. This is really important. My kid, okay, look, all my kids, we never gave them, we had the device in the house, we had them on time lock, as in, we will tell you when to get on, we will tell you when to get off. And you just follow our rules. And it was very good years that we did that. My child, I remember when he was 6 years old, he came home. You know what he said? He said, Dad, he said, when am I gonna get my TV in my bedroom? Gonna get my TV in my bedroom. I said, what are you talking about, son? He said, but Edward's got it. Edward's got it. I said, you're not going to get one. You're not going to get one. It's not going to happen. Forget it. You can dream about it. Just wake up after that. It's not going to happen. Now, I remember when he was 9 years old, he said to me, when am I going to get my phone, my smartphone? I said, what smartphone? He said, he goes, kids at school have it. By the time he got to the age of 11, he came one day home. He was secondary school, first year. He came home and he said, I need a smartphone, I need a smartphone. I said, why? Why do you need a smartphone? He said, all the kids in my class have it. I'm the only one that doesn't have it. I said, listen, kid, you're going to get one when you're 16. And I kept on telling him that. I sat him down. I explained to him. I explained the danger of it. This is what you're going to do with these kids. Don't just say, no, that's it. It's not Somaliland. It's not Bangladesh. You can't do that stuff here. You do that, you lost a kid. They will lose contact with you. They will feel emotional. They will have the hump forever. You need to be, remember I said, Sayyidina Ali said, be a father and a little bit of what? Come on, friendship. You need to reach out to them. You need to explain to them. These kids are now at the age of wanting evidences. Why? So I sat with him. I said, listen, kid. I said, you can have a phone right now. But if you get a phone right now, you're going to just be on the phone and you're going to open a WhatsApp group. And then you're going to be chatting with your friends. And your friends are going to be chatting this, that, this, that, this, that, this, that. It's not going to bring you any benefit. You've got loads of other benefits. But look, you're going to get your phone. I told him that. I gave him the age, 16. He said, okay, Dad, when I get 16, okay, that time I had I think it was an iPhone 6 or something. He said, when I get my phone at that age, he said, I don't want an iPhone 6 at that time. I said, what? He said, I want the latest iPhone. I said, okay, son, you're going to get the latest iPhone. Now, he had it in his head. When he was 13 again, he really wanted it. I said, no, son, no. I said, this thing is, look, explain to them. This thing has got the internet. It's open. You're at a stage when you're not going to know how to control yourself on there. You're going to be surfing on there. You're going to be on there maybe perhaps at night when you should be going to sleep. You're going to be, that's going to be buzzing in your thing. Look, just leave it. I'll get you one. Then I got him to consider. And at the same time, I gave him alternatives. I gave him loads of alternatives. Because me and him used to play table tennis. I remember many phases went through. Me and him used to play pool. Me and him used to play table tennis. Then he got into football. And I encouraged him. He went to local Masjid. He used to go and play football on a Saturday with the kids over there. Right? You got to give them an alternative, my friend. You can't just shut them down and say you're going to give them an alternative. Let them see another world. Keep them preoccupied in a halal way, in a good way. Right now, alhamdulillah, when he was about 17, he was into this, he's still in his Fortnite and things. And I said to him, listen, why don't you go to a gym? He said, what am I going to do? I said, go to a gym. Build it up, son. And you know what? He got into the gym. He's been going there for a year now, alhamdulillah. You know what? Gym is halal, man. It was halal. Let them go there, let them keep occupied. Keep them occupied with something. So that they don't do all the other stuff that you don't want them to do. Anyway, he got 16. When he got to 16, I gave him his phone. But then I said to him, listen to this. This is for you parents. I said, son, I'm going to share your passcode with you till the day you get married. I got no shame in saying this in front of you. You're going to think, what? 16-year-old, he's 18 now. I still share, I can go into his phone and I don't be intrusive. I don't go into there anytime I want. I won't do that. And he knows that. There's a respect. Remember I said to you, by the age of 14, you're going to become more friendly and less of that father. So I've been doing that. I've been changing my way of speaking to him. You have to do this. The way you talk to a 5-year-old, do not talk to a 15-year-old. You're gonna lose that child. I've transformed the way I speak to him, and he's noticed that. And there's been a few times he's challenged me in different ages. But recently, if you have a challenge, I just said to him, I said, son, why are you talking to me like that? Just in his voice, why are you talking to me like that? Straight away, he realizes, he stops. If you make that friendship way, alhamdulillah. Now, his phone, I can get into his phone. I don't go in there all the time, but now and again, once in a while, I'll do it. And he's even said to me, I remember one talk I gave. This was a talk in London. I gave the talk, I talked exactly the same thing I said right now. Parents should share the passcodes of these children. And tell you the reason why. You have got every fitna, every haram, everything that you can ever imagine in the world you never would want your kid to see. It's open on the internet. Open access. I don't care how many locks you put, I don't care how many parental stuff you put, kids know how to go under and get to see what they want to see. Every haram the eyes, haram the ears, haram that will corrupt them. Completely corrupt them. It's on the internet. As soon as they go onto the internet, Google is there. There, like that. You're going to allow your kid to lock themselves out with their phone at the age of 13, age of 12, age of 11. I've even heard kids 7. Parents gave a smartphone to the kid. And the kid is browsing the internet, whatever they want, and it's locked, and the parents don't know what's happening. You will have every girlfriend coming that way. You'll have every drug thing that might come that way. You'll have every other fit that you can think of. Everything's open. And they can do it secretly without you knowing, because they know you're going to get angry with them, so they'll do it. Now, I remember in that London thing, I gave the talk, and my kid was there. This was just a couple of months ago. He was there. He was in the talk, and I said all of this. And I even shared the thing. I said, my son, that's what I did, 16, I gave it to him, and I shared the passport. And then I got in the car, and I said to him, do you want me to check your phone? Because in the talk, you know what I said? I said, listen guys, when you go home here, I said, don't just go home and grab the smartphone from the kids and say, hey, open it right now. Open sesame. Let me in. Let me see what you've been up to. I said, don't do that. I said, if you go home, your kid's been on a smartphone, locked away from you for several years, go home and just tell them, I'm giving you 24 hours to wipe away what you want. Wipe away. Your history, your browsing history, whatever else. I'll give you some time to do that, because you don't want to spoil the relationship. If you come in, okay, look, we're all humans, they might do something wrong here. You don't want to come in, be intrusive, find it, this, that, go mad, and blah, 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 this, and go completely nuts, and then they lose the relationship with you. So when I got in the car, I said to him, you're going to give me the phone? Straight away, he handed me the phone. He said, Dad, you can go to right now. He said, I'm nothing. And you know what? If you build the relationship, I'm not saying we're all perfect, but if you build the relationship with the kids over time, you will have. I remember this child came to me one day from school, and this is because the RSE lessons at school, they are messing the kids up. They're messing their heads up. Do you realize in England, I'm telling you the actual statistics. In England, in our schools, in our normal schools, up and down the country, a survey was done with RSE or RS, religious studies education teachers. What was their faith? 80% of them were atheists. 80% of them were atheists. These teachers come in the lesson. Do you think the teacher's going to passionately speak about Islam when Islam comes in the syllabus? They're going to say, okay, and they'll do this. They do this in the lesson. They say, okay, so what's the proof of God? Why do you guys believe in God? How do you know God is real? How do you know your God is real? And you know what? One day my kid actually came, and he was only about 8 years old. And he came and he said to me, he said, how do we know the Quran is true? Because that's exactly the question the teacher must have said in school. He said, Baba, he said to me, how do I know that our Quran is the truth? And this is me as an imam is asking, by the way, yeah? So what did I do? I sat him down. I had a nice chat with him. And I said to him, I said, you know the people in the Prophet's time? I said, they tried to challenge the Prophet with the Quran. The Prophet, in the Quran, we've got a surah like, Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar. Very short surah, just 3 verses. I said, you know the mushrikeen, the people in the Prophet's time? They came, they challenged the Prophet. And the Quran says, Fa'tu bi suratin min mithli. Try and bring a surah that is close to that. Anything similar to that. So they came up with that. I said, son, I said, you know in the Quran we've got, surahs like Al-Qari'ah, Mal-Qari'ah. What's Al-Qari'ah? Al-Qari'ah is the catastrophe. Mal-Qari'ah, what is the catastrophe? وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا-Al-Qari'ah. And what do you know about the catastrophe? يَوْمَ يَكُونُ النَّاسُ كَالْفَرَاشِ الْمَبْثُوثِ. The day people will be like moths, scattered all over. وَتَكُونُ الْجِبَالُ كَالْعِهْنِ الْمَنْفُوشِ. You see mountains that will have been softened to wool. And then Allah said, فَأَمَّا مَنْ ثَقُلَتْ مَوَازِينُهُ. As for the person whose scales are really weighty on that day, فَهُوَ فِي عِيشَةٍ رَاضِيَةٍ. Such a person is going to be in complete bliss. Delighted. وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَفَّتْ مَوَازِينُهُ. And those people whose scales are light on the day of judgment, فَأُمُّهُ هَاوِيَةٌ. Their destination is going to be the lower pit. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا هِيَ. What do you know about that thing? And Allah says, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا هِيَ. Narun Hamiyah. It's a blazing fire. Now look how eloquent, look how the structure. And the mushrikeen came to Rasulullah and they said, we've bought you a similar surah to your Quran. And the Sahaba was sitting down. I said, okay, read it. They said, Al-Fil, the elephant. Wama al-Fil. What do you know about the elephant? Wama adraka mal-Fil. What's going to tell you about the elephant? Lahu khurtumun tawil. It has a long trunk. You guys are already laughing. That's exactly what my kid did. When you explain Al-Qari'ah, then you explain Al-Fil, and you explain what they did, and he laughed and he laughed and he laughed, and then this is the surah of the Quran. I said, do you see the elegance of the Quran? Do you see the majestic Quran? Do you see how wonderful the Quran is? What it talks about? And he never asked me that question again. But you got to come across to them with something that gives them some kind of, faith, something that deepens their faith. Say, yes, that's got to be the truth. How elegant, how wonderful it is. Anyway, guys, I know the adhan has to go right now because the salah is going to start at 9 o'clock. I just want to say to you, final word to you. My friends, we've created, and I'm not just saying this, look, you might say, well, what about this evidence and thing, or what about the nurturing? What we've created with a team of people for the last 20 years, we've been working on a syllabus. Safarpublications.org. Go straight to book 6 or book 7, especially book 7, go to book 8. Open the chapters in there and you're going to find exactly we're targeting the very things I'm talking about in this lecture. About the deen, about Allah, about proof of existence of Allah. You will see that in book 7. Just go to safarpublication.org, just open that one textbook, just order the textbook, look into that. Not only that, but please, whatever you do, connect yourself with Imams. So Safar is S-A-F-A-R, publications.org. Anyway, connect up with the ulama, connect with the masjids, go to imams. If one imam can't answer it, tell him to take you to another imam. Inshallah, that will happen. Jazakumullah khair wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.
Jazakallah khair to everyone for your time. Just on that note, many of you would know we've been announcing in Jummah, we will be starting a new series.